Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, December 19th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing. The candlestick you see there will be changing. That is because the market is still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. Stock number one here, COSM, an absolute monster and remains a monster as I speak, going to new highs. To think that this thing started off down below $4 and is now pushing $23. Maybe it even gets halted here. Absolutely crazy move, and been a long time since there's been this sort of mover. And I'm taking this as a sign of hope. Maybe the market's starting to turn. Maybe we're starting to get some better movers, one stock at a time. But this was certainly a very, very good sign that there are stocks around that can still move and move very, very just uniquely, because this is a unique situation. And on that note, that's what a watch list is all about. Finding interesting, finding unique situations, and not randomly rushing out and buying anything, but watching them. And as of right now, there is not really any setup. I mean, to go and buy right now is totally chasing the price. But my point here is, yeah, this is very unique, clearly, and to keep an eye on it for Monday, because all it takes is maybe, and I'm not saying it'll do this, but for example's sake, let's say the price pulls back a little bit. Well, if that were to occur with a pullback, well, what you'd have at that point in time is, sure, you'd have a bit of a downwards channel, but when you factor in what happened before that, you'd have a big old bull flag pattern. So like I said, as of right now, is there any sort of opportunity? Not really. If you like to play pullbacks, well then yeah, you could wait for pullbacks to the moving averages. But like I said, my core point is, not only was it a crazy day, when you look at the final 30 minutes and look at that volume bar there, the biggest volume bar yet, it's definitely worth something to keep an eye on for Monday. Next one, MULN, and what I like most about this one is a very, very well-defined breakout point. So you got to think that a lot of people around the world have drawn that trend line right there. And I make that comment because when a lot of people around the world are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So there are no guarantees in the market, but is it plausible to think, is it valid to think that if the price comes back up here and breaks up through that line, that break could get the price moving that much quicker? Absolutely. Even if it's just because, well, people are buying because there's a breakout, and oh, I'm a breakout trader. Oh, I'm supposed to buy. Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on out there. So self-fulfilling prophecy or not, it's very valid to watch that line. Again, that doesn't guarantee anything, but nobody could accuse you of, looking at some sort of random area or buying for some sort of random reason. As far as levels of support are concerned, a lot of history now down here around this former breakout point at about 28 cents. So keep an eye on 28 cents if you like to play more so pullback type situations. But overall, some well-defined levels, and it'll be interesting to see how this all unfolds on Monday. Next one, COMS, and I don't mean to state the obvious, but I will anyways. Nice move here to think that at one point the price was down there yesterday, and now all of a sudden it's up to here. So yeah, good solid move, but that does bring about the valid question. Is there any sort of genuine power behind this move? And I have no idea, but by using charts, we can make answering that question very straightforward. And that's why 8 cents is very, very important. I'm not saying this will occur, but just for example's sake and explanation's sake, if the price were to go down to 8 cents and then fall down below that, what would that be doing to the price at that point? That would quite literally be putting the price right back inside of that range where it just was. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but price movements with genuine power are not going to go back to where the price was. But to be fair, nothing can go straight up either. So maybe the price comes down here, but instead goes sideways and then heads back up. Now all of a sudden, what do you have? Well, you have a set of lows there. You have lows down there. And if you envision those as stair-steps, now all of a sudden you have stair-steps making progress in the upwards direction. And that's what it's all about. That's what a genuine bullish move is going to do. It's going to show signs of progress via putting in those higher lows. So keep that in mind there. 8 cents, very, very important level for those reasons. In terms of levels of resistance, main one definitely going to be that overarching level up there, that pink line, the 200 period moving average right now valued at 10 cents. Next one, CEI, very rough day today, but some interesting movement here for a couple of reasons. First off, it's a relatively popular stock. CEI, a lot of people have remembered it over the years and have traded it because it does have a reputation to move relatively quickly. Now, that, of course, does not mean that it's going to move and do the same thing again, but the reputation, the ability to do so is there. And then next, you have the big beat down today with the gap down. But what's interesting is the price at least has started to go sideways. Now, let me be very clear. I wish I could say trading was this easy and saying, oh, because the price gap down and because it went sideways, Therefore, guaranteed this is the bottom. Not quite how it works, but it goes back to, was it at least plausible? Is it valid to think that maybe, just maybe, this sideways movement here is some sort of bottom forming? Absolutely. It might not be, but again, that's what a watch list is about. Not randomly rushing out and buying things, but watching and observing. So if you like to play penny stocks, if you like to play stocks that seemingly are maybe starting to bottom out, that have a reputation to move relatively quickly, CEI is one to keep an eye on. Next one, AMC, and a rough day here. It had been putting up such a good fight and not putting in new lows, but today that just could no longer hold up. Price broke down through 550, came all the way down to that level of support, and even broke through there. So it wasn't like, well, it kind of held that support. I mean, there was no discussion about it. 550 was broken and broken with a whole lot of authority here. So yes, the downtrend continues, with the next new level of resistance being right here, which is based on a foundational rule that states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So moving forward right here, $5.35, now the area of resistance, which, surprise, surprise, you can see was rejection point there, and then ultimately where the price couldn't quite push up through towards the last 30 minutes. So that'll be the near-term area of resistance. And then if the price pushes up through there, you have that 50 period, which I know for those of you that have watched past videos remember me talking about. And you can see once again, from this morning, acted as resistance, the power of charts. In terms of levels of support, nothing fancy or complicated here at all. Literally just a question of, okay, where did the bleeding finally stop today? And that was down there at 513. So 513 will be the main area of support headed into Monday. Real quickly, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online trading that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen, you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen, then I want you to get signed up for the free training. Next one, BYSI, and this is just going back to the whole talking point of self-fulfilling prophecies. A pattern here that as I draw it, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to imply this is a special talent, great ability. A lot of people have drawn this, which brings about the self-fulfilling prophecy because you got to think a lot of people are watching this pattern. So we have the resistance part of it right there. We have the support portion right there. In fact, let me change that to green to represent more so a bullish support area. And then maybe to make this the most visual, let me just make it one color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big explosion there, and we have our little golf hole down there to make it that much more visual. So for you golfers out here, this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So if you like to play bull pennant patterns, you like to play stocks down below $10, here you go. Next one here, GOTU, and I don't know why I'm just now seeing this. This thing has been in a very nice uptrend for a while now, but yeah, it must have just been the volume finally kicked into higher gear. But yes, I really don't have any sort of grand excuse. I'm not sure why this is now just getting onto the watch list. But point here being, this thing is in a very, very nice looking uptrend. You can see right here. I mean, if you're writing a textbook on, uptrends and we're looking for an example, you could throw this right in here. I mean, a beautiful example of higher highs, higher lows. So just a situation where if you like to play this price range, you like uptrending stocks, then this is one that could, very well work out. But let's map out a couple areas. We have an interesting pullback level there at 275. And then as far as resistances, got this little trend line right up there, which puts the breakout point right up around, give or take, $3.15. But the moral of the story here from a bigger picture point of view is just, if you like to play stocks down below $5, you like beautiful looking uptrends, here you go. Next, Meta, or otherwise known as Facebook, but overall started off very, very nice. Opening 30 minutes, big upwards move, and then from there pretty much bled the rest of the day. But within a bigger picture point of view, just sort of chopping back and forth within this bigger range here. So that's the viewpoint I want to take, is more so the overarching level and get a couple lines in play, which again, got to think that there's some self-fulfilling, dynamics with these because they're both pretty well defined. So you got to think a lot of people are watching them. And then with this other area down here at $113. So yes, this is definitely more of a bigger picture type pattern, but I'm trying to give variety for everybody here. And it is Meta, so it is a popular stock. And, regardless of which way it goes, if it comes all the way down here, not guaranteed, but plausible to think it could bounce like it's done not once but twice before. Yeah, of course, plausible. Just as plausible as if it comes up here and breaks up through there, how that break could create some good upwards buying pressure. So if you like to play a little bit of higher price stocks or maybe you play options, then this is an overall pattern that you got to think a lot of people are watching. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and the downtrend continues, just keeps on putting in lower lows. Was starting to go sideways and was starting to say, okay, maybe, just maybe, this is some sort of end of the downwards pressure. And then today that green line just got destroyed destroyed to the downside, which brings about our first update, which I said already, when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So if there are any sort of bounces anytime next week, then the first key level and the first key question mark to pretty much throw out there is, can the price break above 156? But the other level you're going to have to continue to watch is that purple line, because you can see here, 50-period moving average acted as resistance, and then today directly as resistance. And that line will eventually come down below 156. And after that purple line moves down below it, because again, it's a moving average, then that would take higher priority as far as resistance levels are concerned. And then as far as supports, I think this is we were not all-time lows, but we're at lows that have not been seen for a very long time. So it goes back to the question of, where did the price just stop bleeding today? And that was down there at basically the 150 mark. So 150 will be a very important level headed into next week. But yeah, Tesla and the downtrend continues. Last one here, TQQQ, which is the ETF that follows the NASDAQ. So if you think that the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to rise, then you could buy this at a much lower price point, which is why it's so popular. But overall, as the NASDAQ has gotten destroyed this week, so has this one. But we have a little interesting dynamics here, because somewhat of a decent, respectable close, a little uptrend here, but you got to be very careful with looking at little miniature uptrends like that, because the overall trend is still very clearly in the downwards direction. So it would not be crazy at all on your part to say, yeah, Clay, it is a upwards channel, but I think that's just some sort of dead cat bounce where the price is just going to roll back over. I completely see and understand where you're coming from. In fact, I'd say you're probably erring on the side of things that would more likely happen than not. But point here being, if this thing does continue on down, definitely got to get some new levels of support mapped out, with the next key level being down here right around the $18.25 mark. So keep an eye on 18.25 if this thing does roll back over. But to be fair, maybe this is the start of a bigger bounce back in the upwards direction. And if that is indeed the case, next key level of resistance to watch going to be right up there, up around that $20 mark. But yeah, rough week for the NASDAQ, rough week here for TQQQ. But as this one has shown in the past, it can move and move very quickly, which is why it is popular too. So keep an eye on it. But yeah, definitely a rough back end of the week. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free training. It'll be next week, Thursday, December 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these videos, top 10 are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do two things for me. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching for next week. So again, get signed up for that free training. Have a great weekend.